icons.com. For Icons, I'm Keith Jackson. So long, everybody.
Once again, the Horseshoe is the focal point of college football as Urban Meyer returns to his home state with hardware in hand. Today, we see if sophomore quarterback Braxton Miller will be at home in the spread offense, and if the talent surrounding him is strong enough to bring home a trophy of their own. It's the Scarlet and Gray game, next on BTN. BTN Spring Football is presented by Barbasol. And would you believe that on a day that started cold and rainy, the sun is poised to break through the clouds? Well, that would match the mood of the Ohio State faithful and the players who are all thrilled to have Urban Meyer in Columbus. And we're thrilled to be here as well. Tom Hart alongside Derek Rackley. What we'll see today will be a true game, different than some schools here for their spring performance. Competition has been the key word from Urban Meyer all spring, and that continues through the final day.
Ever since Coach Meyer took over, he talked about winners and losers. He wanted to see how guys would respond in the face of competition. Now, you might think today is just another spring game, but it's practice number 15. It's a chance for guys to go out and win them a starting spot.
And a chance for Braxton Miller to show off his arm. He's throwing 70 balls a day in practice, and they'll go 3-to-1 pass to run today.
Second year as the starting quarterback for the Buckeyes, and a lot of people might think, oh man, he's got to take over an offense, learn another new one in his second year. But the great thing about it is this is very similar to the offense that he ran in high school at Wayne High School in Huber Heights, Ohio. He feels very comfortable with it. We got a chance to talk to him yesterday. He's looking forward to 2012.
The tradition at Ohio State is a stalwart defense. They got away from that a little bit last year, but not at all because of the efforts of John Simon, who's back, bigger, better than ever.
Coach Meyer talked about since he took over looking for elite players. He did not have to look far in finding John Simon. He's been almost unblockable when you talk about him this spring. Another guy on the defense that's going to have to step up is linebacker Adian Sabino. It's been one of the positions that they've been a bit light on, but we talked to Luke Fickell. He said this has by far been his best spring to date. He'll look to have a great season in 2012. And then switching back over to the offensive side of the ball, tight end Jake Stoneburner. They might have struggled on offense last year, but Stoneburner did not. A touchdown every 2 catches for him in his career. And in this spread style of offense, just think of Aaron Hernandez at Florida. There will be a lot of opportunities for tight ends.
Well, not just wins and losses on the line. Urban Meyer says winners ride the bus, losers walk home. More from the new head coach at Ohio State when we return to the Horseshoe.
Oh, shave. That's irritating.
Better buy Barbasol.
New Barbasol Sensitive Skin blocks skin irritation. Lets you go for the comfortable close shave of your life.
Close. Who's next?
Love close, hate irritation? Better buy Barbasol.
With MLB Extra Innings on DirecTV, your team follows you, no matter how far away you may be. It's your own season tickets up to 80 games a week, including up to 40 in crystal clear HD. Order MLB Extra Innings on DirecTV and bring your favorite team home today.
By the way, new uniform, amazing.
I'm some guy you just met. You listed this midlife crisis on the internet, and 3 emails later, you trusted me with a test drive? How hard can this be? And if you don't have the right motorcycle insurance, you could be fixing this bike yourself. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Dollar for dollar, nobody protects riders from mayhem like Allstate.
The crowd on its feet in anticipation of the Urban Meyer era getting started here today at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. What a difference a year makes as they take some of their studs to square off before the game even gets underway. That is Simon in the middle of it with Newhart two stalwarts on each line, and now Stoneburner will pick out his opponent in the middle of the block O. And why not take on the fullback, Zach Boren? This is fun, and this is Urban Meyer competition and the heart of everything here at the Horseshoe.
Well, I can tell you from my days in college at Minnesota, this is just straight one-on-one, man-on-man. Get everybody excited to come out and play this spring game. You get to see who's got the best technique, who's the most prepared, and who's ready to come out and play.
What a difference a year makes. And a year ago at this game, Jim Tressel was on the sidelines, Terrell Pryor was in uniform, and we are a year removed from one of the most tumultuous eras in Ohio State football. And now that, and with these performances at midfield, is all in the rearview mirror.
They're definitely looking forward to 2012. There is a lot to look forward to. You got Urban Meyer, one of the winningest coaches in active college football, taking over. He's bringing in a new offense. You got stability on the defense with Luke Fickell going back to his normal position, coaching the linebackers and coordinating the defense with a lot of guys returning. There's a lot of things to be excited about in Columbus for next year.
It will be Scarlet versus Gray. Mike Vrabel in, the three-time Super Bowl champ, working with the offensive line as he makes a move across, helping to coach the Scarlet team today. We were at practice yesterday along with about 500 high school coaches, and there is just something about Urban Meyer on a football field. And after a year away from the game, not only is he Ashtabula, Ohio native back home in this state, he's back home on the gridiron.
But he's back home, and he was putting his stamp on this program, and it started back a few months ago with recruiting. He put together another excellent class. Some of those guys that we'll get a chance to see here this afternoon that have already enrolled in college, the rest of the guys will have to catch up once they get here in June and July.
9 early enrollees for the Buckeyes, and still working through some guys who will and won't dress here today. Sports Illustrated Coach of the Decade, named in 2009. Pair of national titles, some SEC titles. And the key for Urban Meyer and his success at Florida centered on the talent that was there, the talent that he brought in, and their success running the spread offense in the zone read. Chris Leak and Tim Tebow each led Florida to a national championship. Now here's the quarterback in the middle of things, Braxton Miller.
That takes a lot of guts for a head coach to put your quarterback out there and get into some live one-on-one contact. We talked about competition coming off the top, winners and losers. This was a surprise to us. We didn't know this was going to happen. And he has come out and shown us what competition and winning and losing is all about.
All right, so after that warm-up and a little snot knocking to get the day started, after today they will protect Braxton Miller. Fair game to start.
Just got to get those pads down a little bit, Tom.
Urban Meyer takes both teams, Scarlet and Gray, to the locker room. And we are just a few moments away in the national anthem from the Horseshoe getting rocking and starting the contest. This is how things boiled down last year under interim head coach Luke Fickell. 6-7, and we were here for that Toledo game. Urban was here for the Akron game, and I think maybe that Toledo contest was a window into the rest of the season. That was a tough one. And primarily defensively, Ohio State wasn't where they were accustomed to being.
They struggled in that game, and when you talk about these non-conference opponents in games like Akron and Toledo, those are generally games where Ohio State ends up blowing out their opponents. The team gets on the same page, they build up momentum and get ready for the Big Ten season. That really wasn't the case if you watch the 2011 squad, and then they got the Big Ten season off to a fairly good start, but a very uncharacteristic finish by the Buckeyes.
Woody Hayes called them the best damn band in the land. And this is also the spring performance for the Ohio State Marching Band. Well, it is a new era, not just at the head coach position, but some staff turnover as well, as Urban Meyer has put together the staff in his first season at the helm here at Ohio State. Luke Fickell, the former All-American up front on the defensive side, is the only guy who has more than a decade of experience here. Mike Vrabel was brought back by Fickell last year, and Stan Drayton, who was coaching wide receivers, is now at running back. So the biggest changes, obviously, Rack, are in the coordinator position, starting with Tom Herman on offense.
Yeah, Tom Herman is now the offensive coordinator, ran a spread system the last couple of years at Iowa State. Really likes what he does. He actually studied what Urban Meyer did at Utah and Bowling Green, so he's a perfect fit for this offense.
John Simon, Zach Boren got things started at midfield, and with Urban Meyer alongside, they will lead the team onto the field. Urban Meyer called the Swamp home for so long in Florida. Before that, Rice-Eccles Stadium in Utah. And now he takes to the field at the Horseshoe for the first time. So the focus has been on the new coach and will continue to be, not only today, but throughout the offseason for Ohio State and heading into their opener with Miami of Ohio. Scarlet and gray are the teams. Gray team wearing white jerseys today. And Urban Meyer in a white windbreaker. Let's take you down to the field now. Lisa Byington with the new Buckeye head coach.
Yeah, you already got the fans a little bit fired up with that drill you did there at midfield. You even put your quarterback in there.
Yeah, you have to check the sanity sometimes of the head football coach. That was good for the players, though.
Other than keeping your players healthy, how does this day become successful for you?
This is big. I mean, look at the game day atmosphere. Players you can perform in the arena, they're hard to find. And so I'm anxious to watch them do it.
How much do you expect to play a John Simon and a Braxton Miller here today?
Braxton Miller's going the whole day. Simon won't play. Very little. He's played a lot. Braxton has to play. It's a new offense, and he has to play.
Real quick, how are you feeling? You talked about the players playing in front of you. Haven't done this in a few years.
Yeah, it's been a while, and you know it's all about the players. It's all about a group of coaches that get a chance to show up in front of their fans. So I feel great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Lisa, thanks. Great to have you along. And now, before we get started, they rise here at Ohio Stadium for the playing of our national anthem. So John Simon, as Urban Meyer just said moments ago, really won't play much today. And in many ways, Derek, it's something that seniors, especially guys who've been in this program, have earned their spots and earned the opportunity to have some time off.
Well, as a new head coach, one of the first things you have to do is find your leaders on your team. And we talked about him off the top. You don't have to look far in finding a leader in John Simon. And you talk about on the football field. He made an impact on Urban Meyer right away. You talked about him being one of his warriors. You talk about on the field, in the weight room, in the meeting room. He is just a consummate college football player.
Well, you can join the conversation about Ohio State's spring game on Twitter. Use the hashtag #GoBucks. You can see that in the right-hand corner. and hear what other fans are saying about the spring game and the 2012 Buckeyes. Remember, you can also follow us on Twitter at Big Ten Network. These are the stars of the Twitter world, and the fourth name, Tom Dienhart, with us from the Big Ten office, and you can find him online all times and throughout the game today. Tom, what are you looking for, and what are the fans looking for most out of today?
Well, yeah, Tom, just to reiterate, fans can join me on Twitter today. They saw my handle. I'll be talking about all things Buckeyes today. I'd love to hear from the fans what your thoughts are of this new spread offense, how Braxton Miller's looking, if any of these wow players that Urban Meyer keeps wanting to see emerge, if they sort of show up today. So, again, join me on Twitter, btntomdnr.com. Again, I'm looking at Braxton Miller, this offense, the wide receivers, and the offensive line as well, guys. 3 new starters up there.
You covered Urban for some time at Florida as well, and you were around the program a little bit down in Gainesville. Do you think Ohio State will resemble the Florida program that he built, and if so, how soon?
Well, I think it does have a good chance to resemble that program. How soon that's going to be, Tom, it's going to take him, I think, a year or two, but I wouldn't be shocked if Ohio State's one of the surprise teams this year with a chance maybe to possibly have the best record in the Big Ten even.
All right, that's Tom Dienhart. He'll be with us throughout the day today, on the air and online all day. You see the handle at BTN Tom Dienhart. Get involved, and we'd love to include you on the broadcast and on Twitter. Scarlet will start today with the football, and I wonder if that's maybe tied into winning the mano-a-mano wars at midfield to get things started. Out of the shotgun primarily, and Braxton Miller at quarterback. Miller on the run, and he will let it go complete for a Scarlet first down and a gain of 11. That is the freshman wide receiver Michael Thomas. A lot thought of Thomas. Let's talk about Braxton Miller for a moment. He's out of the shotgun and running a lot of zone read and spread option stuff today.
Yeah, and a great confidence builder for him to get a completion on his very first and now his second pass as well. As you talked about, Tom, the passing is going to be about a 3-to-1 ratio. This coaching staff wants to see how not only Braxton Miller, but the wide receivers, the offensive line, the tight ends fare in a very competitive passing situation.
We talked to Braxton Miller yesterday before he got on the field for practice, as they put it on the ground for the first time, and Carlos Hyde gets his first carry. And he said, listen, I'm throwing the ball 70 times a day, each and every day at practice. It's what I'm used to. It's what I did in high school. But one aspect that we won't see of him today is many quarterback runs. The quarterbacks are off limits. At least that's the plan to start the day. If it finishes that way, it will remain to be seen.
Yeah, you just can't do it. You don't really need that extra contact for your projected starting quarterback. And Urban Meyer has said that he's basically earned the right to be the starter to go into camp, but you don't want him taking any extra hits. Great start for him here through the passing game, though.
And he finds Chris Fields, the fourth-year junior out of Painesville, Ohio, with the grab. Fields last year caught Joe Boserman's first pass, and here he is hauling one in from Braxton Miller.
A nice job, a little back shoulder throw right there. Fields making the adjustment on a very good corner in Bradley Roby.
And Hyde straight ahead, running behind this Ohio State offensive line. They held a draft to pick up the both teams, and so there are strengths on either side. Braxton Miller, as you can imagine, and for good reason, is playing behind many of the starters that will be among the starting 5 on the O-line.
You talked about Jack Muhort going out there as one of the captains. He's sliding over and probably going to be the starting left tackle for the Buckeyes, so they want to get him a chance to see things in full speed motion. They're also going to have a new right tackle, potentially going to be converted tight end Reed Fraggle, moving in a spot from his tight end position.
And another completion on the route that will get it inside the 5-yard line. Second grab from Tyrone Williams. Well, the Scarlet team marching right down the field here on the opening possession. They started at the 30-yard line. New offensive coordinator Tom Herman from Iowa State. Before that at Rice is the head coach of the Scarlet team. Luke Fickell, co-defensive coordinator, the head coach of the Gray team. Hyde straight ahead and stopped just short of the goal line. Hyde and Rod Smith will carry the ball for the Scarlet team. And no huddle, quick backup on the ball. And Urban Meyer standing 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Eagle eye view for Braxton Miller. And Hyde up the middle, and he will walk in for a Scarlet touchdown.
Well, we're just a couple of minutes into this game, but this is definitely encouraging for this coaching staff, number one, too, but also just the players. The players need to get this confidence, especially on offense. We know the offensive side of the ball struggled last year, but it's nice to see Braxton Miller come out, throw some accurate balls, and then to also get the running game going a little bit behind Carlos Hyde.
Kyle Clinton will handle kicking duties for both sides, so the Scarlet jersey pops it through. He's a freshman out of Dublin, Ohio, and Dublin Kaufman High School.
Got a chance to see Urban Meyer getting really up close and personal to the kickers right there, too. Head coaches like to put a little bit of pressure on those guys. There's not a lot of time where they get pressure situations in the spring, even in the fall camp, but there's no greater pressure than your head coach standing right over your shoulder wanting you to make that kick.
Hyde out of Naples, Florida, and Fork Union Military Academy, which produced Eddie George, one of the all-time greats here, along with Vinny Testaverde, Sonny Randall, Dexter Coakley, Plaxico Burris. So here's the great team, and Ken Guyton at quarterback, and he lets it fly complete, well, for an 8-yard gain, short of the first down, as he finds Corey Brown.
The one thing I'm going to continue to stress is that they came into this spring game wanting to throw the football on a 3-to-1 ratio. But this spread offense is designed to be a run-based offense. So in the fall, you're going to see a lot more running game, read option with Braxton Miller reading the defense, quarterback runs, running back runs. There's a lot of depth there at that position. So I don't think what you're seeing today is going to be the product that will be on the field this fall when they open up in September. It's going to be very heavy run-based.
This is true freshman Briante Dunn.
Another one of those guys that early enrolled here to get a jump start on learning this offense, and Urban Meyer's seen enough. He's already come out and said that he has earned the right to get into that rotation at the running back position come training camp.
Empty backfield and 5 wide for Guyton, who escapes the pressure and will tuck it and run, and he will have kind of a free alley. That's one of those plays in the spring game where Doran Grant just has to kind of let the quarterback take himself out of the play.
Yeah, defensive players have to just realize whether or not they got there, and I don't think anybody did. This is a good job by Kenny Guyton getting out of the pocket. That's one of the things that Coach Meyer talked about. He said he knows Braxton Miller has the ability to make people miss in the open field. He said, you know what, we might have two. Kenny Guyton is a very similar type quarterback.
And Guyton's going to keep it on the zone read and at least be met by Grant, if not taken down. I honestly didn't think we'd see any zone read with the quarterback keeping it today. They're also keeping the defense very basic. They're just going to run out of a base 4-3. Luke Fickle said it's twofold, really. We're not really allowed to put on many blitz packages, obviously, for player safety and in a game like this, in our first hard hit. But in addition, he said, I want to be able to run a lot of guys out there, and so we want to keep it simple and want to make sure that they can get playing time. Twofold, really. Here's the first pop of the game. Ron Tanner, redshirt freshman out of Columbus. Well, the gray marching, Guyton on the rollout, and that is off the hands of his intended receiver, Taylor Rice, 5th-year senior from Dublin, Ohio.
Well, it's definitely still a growing group at the wide receiver position. Last year, they struggled. We got to chance to watch practice yesterday, and there were some struggles a little bit there, catching the ball as well, but everybody has to get used to catching the football. There's different quarterbacks that are running in. At the end of the day, they got to make plays. At the wide receiver position, you're charged with catching the ball. That's exactly what you got to do, especially when the quarterback drills one right in between your numbers.
Urban told us yesterday their best wide receivers are tight end. Jake Stoneburn, a little option out of the shotgun, and Guyton will get wrapped up in a quick whistle as he takes it inside the 20. Urban Meyer said, as you mentioned, the biggest shortcoming on the roster right now is at the wide receiver spot. He said, ideally, in my offense and in this system, we need 10 to 12 talented scholarship wide receivers. They are nowhere near that number right now.
Well, again, that just goes back to the transformation of the offense. You had a very pro-style set here previously at Ohio State, was based off of having fullbacks on the roster, tight ends, and in Urban Meyer's system, you still have tight ends, but now you get more wide receivers. You get a couple of running backs that can maybe be hybrids. They can play out of the slot and motion back into the backfield. For example, a Percy Harvin was great in that system. So it'll take a little bit of time for the personnel to be able to turn over a little bit and get into Urban's type of players.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm curious what the role of the running back will be within his offense once they get going.
Well, you know, a lot of people think that running backs, when's the last time Florida had a 1,000, 1,200-yard rusher? And it's probably been quite some time, but they've always had two or three guys that have always had 500 or 600 yards rushing. And when you take a look at that over a season, now you got 1,800 yards rushing between 3 running backs. You add a quarterback on top of that. That's how you end up having such a dominant running game.
36-yard field goal attempt for the freshman Clinton, and he pushes it wide right. So the Scarlet team marched down on its first possession and got an easy score, and then they step it up defensively, forcing Gray into a missed field goal from distance after the drop pass.
Again, you see Urban Meyer just standing about a yard behind the holder right there. He's also looking at the operation. He wants to make sure that the long snapper and the holder are doing their part to make sure that that part of the operation is perfect in getting that ball up for the kicker, but also provide a little bit of pressure. Make sure that these guys are going to be able to make field goals in tough situations, because that will happen come this fall.
An extra point for Clinton, the kicker, but then a miss, and Braxton Miller back at quarterback, where he has started his day perfect. 4 for 4 for 51 yards. Rod Smith is in at tailback for Ohio State, and his first touch takes it over the 20 into the 23-yard line. I guess going back to that running back question, the way Percy Harvin was used, will Ohio State in this offense be at its best when you can have a true dual threat guy with great hands out of the backfield?
Absolutely, because now you have to, your defense is starting to think, okay, there's a guy in the slot that I'm in coverage on in pass, but he very well could go into the backfield and be a great running back. So you get a chance to see somebody like Rod Smith flex out wide on this play. Those are the type of advantages you can get with this spread as you create mismatches.
They call it 2nd and 7, and underneath, catch made, and that's good for a first down. Michael Thomas once again. I think today is a great day for the freshman Thomas out of Los Angeles to show what he can do, because he doesn't necessarily impress in drills, but he can on the field in game situations.
And we go back to it. At the end of the day, Urban Meyer's looking for guys that can make plays. And yes, you want to see him do it in practice, but in this type of situation, especially with a true freshman going and playing in front of more people in a spring game than he's ever played in front of in his life, and he's all go out and make plays, and again, making another catch.
And on the drag route, 3rd grab of the day for Michael Thomas. He came out of Los Angeles, spent a year at Fork Union, coming out of Woodland Hills Taft High School, and so 2nd and short now for Braxton Miller, and this Scarlet offense already leading 7-zip, 2nd possession of the day. And here comes a little bit of sunlight peeking through the clouds. Miller incomplete. Trying to find Tyrone Williams, who has a grab so far today. Luke Fickle is the head coach on the opposite side, defensive co-coordinator, and now coaching linebackers this season for Ohio State in his 12th season on the staff. Part of that Silver Bullet defense alongside his co-worker Mike Vrabel. Third down, Miller on the run, and he chucks it over the middle, complete. Scarlet first down, Chris Fields.
Again, you talk about the advantages of having a mobile quarterback, and Braxton Miller able to elude some pressure. And one thing I like is instead of just tucking it down and running, he keeps his eyes downfield, and he's able to pick up Chris Fields coming across the middle. That's where you're going to pick up some of your biggest plays in the passing game, when your quarterback stays disciplined, gets his eyes back downfield, and delivers a strike to his wide receiver.
Miller sprints out. He'll carry it for the first time and in the play standing. And standing down the field is Lisa Byington with James Laurinaitis.
Yeah, who said you gotta love the Ohio weather here today, right?
Absolutely. Nothing like having a beautiful 70-something yesterday, and today you wake up to this rain, but that's Ohio for you.
It is, absolutely. What is the Urban Meyer effect that you've seen here so far?
A lot more competitive. I think you get that across the board. Talking to the players, they said day in, day out, his goal is to make practice harder than the games. So that'll benefit us hopefully come, the fall.
How much have you been able to talk with him?
I've talked with him a little bit, you know, here and there. Urban and I have been able to talk. When he first got the job, he was able to give me a call and gave a couple of the alumni a call and just said, "You're welcome back. Anything you guys need, let me know. I want this to be very open for you guys." So he gets it. He gets the tradition here.
He gets the tradition. What about the defense and what you've seen? There's a lot of talk right now about John Simon. Who would you compare him to?
Oh gosh, Johnny's he's a unique beast. He's definitely a meatball. I remember Johnny when he first came in, and he works extremely hard. He's a leader. He kind of reminds me of a little bit more athletic Mike Kudla that I played with when I was a freshman, and he'll be a good leader for this defense.
All right, well, thanks for the time. Enjoy your time back.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lisa. And out of the option, they run the reverse, and that will get positive yardage into the hands of Chris Fields, who's got a couple of grabs today. We also saw Braxton Miller take off on a nice run there moments ago. Good to have a guy like James Laurinaitis back on campus, and he was getting a workout in yesterday, and you can just kind of feel the pride at Ohio State, which shouldn't come as a surprise, but after everything that happened over the last year and a half and kind of the mood around the program and in the community last year, it's certainly a change for the better.
Well, and you talked about these guys coming back, and this has always been a tight-knit program as we see a number of flags thrown in on the pass play, but you always see guys coming back to Ohio State. It's great to see Laurinaitis, and actually very timely for him to come back because the linebackers need a lot of work right now to get up to speed.
Shouldn't he be out interviewing defensive coordinator candidates?
They got
the Rams?
Definitely, yeah. There's a little bit of issues going on there, but great player, and he'll be successul with whoever ends up coordinating there at St.
Well,
Louis.
no bounty on that hit, but it was a late flag.
Defense number 6, high hit on the defenseless receiver. Half of this is the goal line. Automatic first down.
That is Zadian Sabino. So the senior from Miami gets flagged. Last year we were talking about the fact that he was able to add strength and bulk going into the season after a year away and redshirted in 10.
Well, strength and bulk last year, and then you add his experiences in 2011, and that makes him a much more well-rounded linebacker coming in. The game should slow down for him. He should be able to see plays develop a lot quicker and then be able to react and get in the backfield and make plays.
With the option, Miller had high, didn't pitch it, and got caught up in the middle and turned around, and a nice play on the edge by Steve Miller. Defensive end turned Braxton Miller back in.
Yeah, I think that was a play that he probably should have pitched, and the coaches will go back and look at it. It's still going to be great coaching film for them to go back and turn this film on and say, here's some of the things that we need to focus on once we get into this offseason and leading up into training camp, because option's going to be a big part of this game plan.
Tom Hart, Derek Rackley, and Lisa Byington at the Horseshoe for the Scarlet and Gray game. Braxton Miller, the incumbent starting quarterback, pressured again, and he gets stopped for the first sack of the game for the Gray. And Luke Roberts, Bellamy was in there. Adam Bellamy, the junior out of Aurora, Ohio.
Yeah, we talked about Ohio State looking to fill 3 spots on that offensive line, and you can see those guys are still trying to work together. We mentioned Reed Fragel, number 77's in there at the right tackle position. He's got his hands much more full now blocking defensive ends, potentially tackles now, than he did when he was trying to block defensive ends and outside linebackers from the tight end position. So a big adjustment for him. But the good thing is they still got a number of times.
That's the end of the first quarter.
3 months until they get back onto the field.
That's Reed Fragel. He leaves the field at the end of the first quarter. Braxton Miller back behind center when we return.
This is the computer ICU. It's what happens to your computer when it gets infected, slows down, and crashes. And if you don't do something, your computer could wind up here in the computer graveyard. But it could be saved with mycleanpc.com.
Is your computer running slow? Are you frustrated with error messages, blue screens, computer freezes, and crashes? Then go to mycleanpc.com for your free diagnosis today. Then just activate the mycleanpc.com software to fix it in minutes. And computer specialists are available while you're online.
The best thing about mycleanpc.com was it had a free diagnosis. My computer is 100% faster. You know immediately what the problem is, and the problem is solved right then and there.
Download your free diagnosis today at mycleanpc.com.
Jim, 5 minutes.
Where's Jackson? Radio camera 1. All mountains stand by.
Close shave.
Barbasol.
Close shave's the call. Better buy Barbasol. Barbasol.
Hi, we're looking to save some money on our car insurance.
Great! At Progressive, you can compare rates side by side so you get the same coverage, often for less.
Wow, that is huge.
And this is to remind you that you could save hundreds.
Yeah, that'll certainly stick with me.
We'll take it.
Go, big money! I mean, go, it's your break, honey.
Same coverage, more savings. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
It was called nature's miracle mineral, asbestos, a material so popular it was used in everything from aircraft carriers to automobile brakes, exposing millions of workers to asbestos fibers. If you or someone you know worked in the trades and has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, find the best care available, then call us. For nearly 2 decades, we've been fighting for people with asbestos-related diseases. Call us at 1-800-950-MESO. Mesothelioma. Don't fight it alone.
BTN Spring Football is presented by Barbasol, and here at Ohio State, it's starting to dry out a little bit on a nice day for some football, and the Ohio State basketball team among those being honored here between quarters of the Scarlet and Gray game.
Deshaun Thomas right there passing by the screen, and Buckeye fans were happy he decided to come back for another year here in Columbus. With him coming back, that scoring threat that he has, a strong team coming back.
Aaron Kraft's probably studying. Let's go down the field. Here's Lisa with Luke Fickle.
Well, Coach, what kind of things are you trying to implement here today?
Really, we're just trying to make sure our guys are playing fundamentally sound. See how they react in front of about 70, 85,000 people.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
The co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. He walked through the building yesterday, and at first glance he saw us, and there was a sense of relief that no longer the head coach. He doesn't have to sit down and talk to us if he doesn't want to. There's Jared Sullinger, Columbus native.
Yeah, won't have the same type of media obligations that he had last year. We got a chance to speak with him a couple of times, and we're just back in a natural position coordinating that defense.
Sullinger and the basketball team still on the field as the football team waits to start play again, and they're showing highlights on the Jumbotron from the Final Four run. I mean, seriously, where's Aaron Kraft? Academic All-American, cracking the books on a Saturday afternoon.
Either that or he's in the weight room.
Could be. Good to honor that modest club. Among others, including the synchronized swimmers that were out at midfield. BTN goes where you want, when you want it with BTN To Go, presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Watch live events on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. BTN To Go is available at no extra charge to subscribers who receive BTN through their cable, satellite, or participating video providers. To learn more, visit btntogo.com. It's also available in the App Store. So Sabino and company trying to stop the drive of Braxton Miller as we return to action, and Miller and the Scarlet team facing a 3rd and long to start this 10-minute second quarter. The plan, and it's always fluid for spring games, but the plan was to play normal conditions in the first half and then have a running clock in the second half.
Getting into an important situation here for Ohio State, and this offense is getting close to that red zone. Obviously, they got to pick up a first down here. That's task number 1, but getting into the red zone, it's also a great learning experience for this offense once that field tightens up, being able to be effective and put the ball in the end zone.
Good footwork, but the pass is incomplete, almost intercepted. Fields was the intended receiver, and Corey Brown, the other Corey Brown.
Tom, you talked about good footwork. I would say, yes, that was a check. Decision-making was bad. You don't want to make that throw. That's one of the things Urban Meyer told us yesterday when we sat down with him, is that he's got to improve with his decision-making, his footwork. We got the chance to see that. It's improved, but you can't throw that ball late over the middle into double coverage.
Another long attempt for Clinton. This is a 41-yard attempt for the freshman kicker, who's already missed one today. And he splits the uprights for his first field goal to go along with an extra point. Probably was Drew Basil. Well, Basil wasn't slated to play in this game, and they're going to bring him out and attempt another from that same distance. Basil, junior from Chillicothe, Ohio. And he'd been a little bit banged up. Now, if I'm Luke Fickell, I'm wondering if these points would count. So another field goal, and that one was true from Basil from 41. And they're going to keep working on special teams here.
Yeah, these are some of those fluid situations that you were talking about, Tom. Every once in a while, the coaches say, you know what, let's get a little field goal practice in here. Let's back it up. Let's see how comfortable he is, see where the leg is, because at the same time, Coach Meyer's trying to get a good gauge on how deep that he can go with his incumbent kicker.
I believe last year Basil's long was 47, and that one was blocked at the line of scrimmage on the 45-yard attempt, and that's Urban Meyer's talking trajectory with him now.
Yeah, once you start getting deeper,
Bellamy,
your kicker starts hitting more line drives, and I would imagine Urban saying, first, that's a great job by our defense getting up there and making a play, but second, telling his kicker, make sure you continually to get the ball up. Don't relax. Don't be lackadaisical. You got to get the ball up quickly over the line to prevent the block.
Pretty good hold. Basil had a 52-yard attempt against Marshall block, and they're going to back up even more. So these won't count in the scoreboard. You say, well, what does it matter to spring game? Well, there's a few things that Urban Meyer introduced, few wrinkles to the competition. It's been a tradition here that the losers walk back to the football complex back across Olentangy, and the winners ride the bus home. Throughout spring practice, winners of certain drills got Gatorade, losers got water. But in addition, today, instead of having next Friday off, the guys who come up on the short end of the scoreboard will produce some community service, and that long one is good. And Urban says, let's go back farther. So for community service, the losers will go and do some work in Buckeye Grove, just south of the stadium. And we asked Luke Fickell about it. He said, I got to win this game. We need to win. I'm not going to go in there and have to trim Vrabel's Buckeye tree planted in honor of the All-American.
Well, Basil was good from 53. He's going back to, it looks like about 58 right now. He had enough distance. Nope, got underneath that one.
You know what? I like these mulligans. Just tee it up again.
I'm sure Urban said, nope, you didn't hit that one good. Let's go. Get another one. Let's go. Get right back up there. So the holder is right in between the 47 and the 48-yard line. So that makes it just in between 57 and 58 yards.
Ben Buchanan is the holder. That was a bullet. Just short. All right, Urban says that's enough.
He missed that one by about 1.5 yards.
That close. 10-0. Scarlet leads Gray, and after a handful of field goal attempts, special teams work, at least for the kicking game, seems to be in the books.
Hey, we talked about the offense and defense playing in front of pressure situations, in front of a big crowd here at Ohio Stadium. You got to do the same thing for the special teams. Got to make sure that the long snapper, the holder, and the kicker understand these tough situations, are able to play in front of a crowd, and they don't get nervous. So great work there for the field goal unit.
Guyton back at quarterback, pressured and touched from behind. That would be a quarterback sack. Michael Bennett in there to take care of Guyton. Well, he told you we want you to be involved with the broadcast via Twitter, and Bennett fluttered his way in to take care of Guyton.
Yeah, miscommunication there on the offensive line. Bennett was able to get in.
Well, Tom Dienhart just sent out this tweet. True freshman wide receiver Michael Thomas has looked good so far with 3 grabs. His handle at BTN Tom Dienhart. 2nd and long. 16 yards to get the first down for Guyton, right in the face of Bennett, who was coming in unopposed again, and that's complete and past the 40 for Devin Smith.
Looks like we've had a couple of breakdowns on the offensive line there. It's 2 straight plays where the defensive end, Michael Bennett, has came in untouched. So the offensive line, you can see Urban talking to the right side of the offensive line right now. We want to make sure that these guys are getting the right calls relayed across the line because they're getting too much pressure by the defensive front.
And the defensive front's not supposed to be playing many games. I mean, they're just playing pretty straight up and basic.
Yeah, Luke Fickell said he wants these guys to play basic defense to make sure that they're in the right place. Ryan Shazier, an excellent job of coming off the edge right there. Another promising sophomore, got a lot of games last year as a true freshman. They got big expectations for him. But the defense, they just want to make sure that these guys are lined up properly, that the linebackers know what their assignments are. But 3 really good plays there by the defense.
So first time we can see the punt team come out and get some work. Ben Buchanan punting for the gray team. And back to return for Scarlet. Well, for special teams is Devin Smith. Smith asked for the fair catch, and that's a running grab that Urban Meyer would rather he not attempt during the regular season. 39-yard line for Braxton Miller and company. .750 to go in the second quarter from Ohio Stadium in Columbus. Urban Meyer at the helm of the Ohio State program, and they will start with Miami on September 1st. Then Central Florida, Cal, UAB. 4 straight home games to open the season, and then Big Ten play on the road at a powerhouse Michigan State team on September 29th. That will be the first real test for Ohio State, and a good challenge for Michigan State, which opens with Boise.
Yeah, absolutely. Michigan State, that'll be a great game. Some changes on the offense for the Spartans, but defense should be strong again in Michigan State.
Miller overthrew his man and intercepted by Adam Griffin. And that's the first turnover of the game as Miller let this one flutter.
Yeah, it looked like this was the first mistake right here. Seemed like there was a miscommunication on what routes they were running. Nick Vanette, the tight end, number 81 right there, looked like he was supposed to go off a little bit more to the corner, but he broke it off.
Let's check in with Lisa now.
Yeah, with a couple of guys here I think Ohio State Buckeyes know all too well. Thad Matta, your team honored here at halftime. One last hurrah for that Final Four. What runs through your mind about that run?
Well, you know, it's funny. I think for me, you took a group of guys and that came together, you know, overcame a lot of obstacles and really became a team when it was most important, and couldn't be prouder of them.
Your boss standing next to you here, Gene Smith. What was fun as a boss and as an administrator to watch this team do what they did?
Well, it's really what he said, watch a group of young men come together, overcome some adversity and some challenges, and really come together at the end, which is when it matters, and really perform real well. So really proud of them.
Let me ask you both, the Urban Meyer effect is what, from your perspective as a coach?
Well, you know, number one, he's coming into a great situation in terms of what Ohio State football has meant over the time, and obviously he's a proven winner. Great person, and you know, deep down he's a Buckeye. He was born and raised in this state, and it's great to have him here.
When you hired him, Gene, has there been anything that has surprised you about him since then?
Not surprised me. You know, he's a CEO. He's been a lot of different places, gone from a Bowling Green to Utah to Florida, diverse experiences that prepare for him for this complex situation. And so I like his intensity. I'd probably say that's the one thing that I thought was really impressive. He's pretty intense at all phases of what he does, so I like that.
You guys get out of here and get upstairs and get some warmth, huh?
We'll do that. Thank
Exactly.
All right, thank you, Lisa. After that pass was batted away, that will bring up 4th down. I think Gene hit the nail on the head. He's a CEO, but he's also a competitor.
He absolutely is. And those are the two things that you want. The CEO, meaning he knows how to manage an entire team, a big, huge responsibility here at Ohio State, and he's a competitor. I mean, he has told these guys from day one, I'm going to continually put you in competitive situations because I want to see how you respond. And the guys that respond, and on the flip side, the guys that are distraught, they're completely upset when they lose, those are the guys that he wants on the football field.
Punting situation once again. And this is a line drive taken at the 7-yard line. BTN Spring Football is presented by Barbasol. Start your day cool with new Arctic Chill Shaving Cream from Barbasol. Better by Barbasol. Gorgeous day for football here at Ohio State. And a good crowd on hand, braving the chilly weather. Some raindrops. It's football weather here today.
Hey, this is a fall afternoon right here. These fans sitting in these seats are really comfortable with this. Maybe not this time of the year, but when they're sitting in this stadium, this is usually about what it is.
Well, it wasn't a great finish to the season for Ohio State last year, but optimism reigns. And the Scarlet team back on the field. Braxton Miller out of the shotgun. Pulls it back from Hyde, fires it complete to Thomas. He's past the 20 to the 22-yard line. So let me ask you something. We watched this team practice yesterday. Now, Mike Thomas, you could see the raw talent and ability. And even if he wasn't up to speed in some of the drills, in the footwork, and running everything exactly like his wide receivers coach wanted, how does a coach kind of identify a guy who can take that onto the field on game day if he doesn't show it during the drills?
Well, that's the thing, Tom. It's drill work is number one, but once they get into those competitive situations, which they've done frequently this spring, if he responds, is he a guy that comes up and makes catches? That's where they'll see something. They'll say, you know what, this guy, we can work with him on the technique. We expect him to be raw as a freshman, but if he's not fazed by the situation, if he's not fazed by the big atmosphere here in the stadium, that's what they want to see, and they'll create a spot for him.
Braxton Miller's thrown for 100 yards already today, 8 of 12. And Miller lets it go again, 9th completion of the afternoon. Chris Fields with another grab. Stan Drayton was the wide receivers coach last year. Zach Smith takes that over today. He's a University of Florida graduate, his 8th season of coaching.
I like to see Braxton Miller just hit those short crossing routes over the middle. Even when it's 2nd and long, you just see a wide receiver open, especially coming across the field. That's what Urban Meyer did at Florida. Get guys the football in space and allow them the chance to make a play. Only picked up 3 or 4 yards on the play, but you give a talented receiver space to make a play, good things will generally happen.
And it was almost intercepted, but it caroms right into the hands of the tight end. And a first down. Nick Bannett, redshirt freshman, with the bounce grab. Look at that.
Right place at the right time, huh? Sometimes it works out pretty good, but you're always keeping your eyes to the football if you're out there. Even if it's not intended to you, you never know when there's going to be a deflected pass. You can end up moving the chains just as long as you're keeping your eyes on the football.
Well, you brought up the wide receivers, and Urban Meyer talked about his Florida wide receivers a little yesterday as Miller tries to scramble away, but Sabino with the one-hand touch takes him down. And Percy Harvin, Lewis Murphy, Aaron Hernandez, you could go all the way down the list, and the number of NFL guys that were on the field on each and every down for Tim Tebow, and prior to that, Chris Lee, is simply astounding.
I mean, that's what gets wide receivers, running backs, tight ends excited about playing in this type of offense. And you heard a lot of the plays because there wasn't a lot of the players, there wasn't a whole lot of receptions last year on this team. In good games in an Urban Meyer offense, you'll get a wide receiver that'll get 8, 10, 12 grabs. There was a lot of wide receivers that didn't have that for the entire season last year.
Roby trips up the freshman Thomas. 10-0 Scarlet, 4 minutes to go on this completion from Miller.
Well, it seems like Braxton is really comfortable with Michael Thomas. He's found him a lot in the routes so far this afternoon. So you might say they got a pretty good connection going on. And as long as he continues to catch the football again, they'll find a place for him on the field.
Miller stepping out of the pocket, and they'll rule him down as he scrambles to get back to the line of scrimmage, and that will bring up 4th down. What are you seeing defensively from the Gray team today?
Well, I think that it's been pretty good so far. I mean, again, we've talked about just playing balanced defense. They want to make sure they're in the right assignments, covering up their gaps, making sure that the players, the wide receivers and running backs that are coming out in routes, that they're passing those off properly. Everybody knows where their coverage assignment is. And again, it goes back to the consistency of having Luke Fickell back coordinating that defense. They're not learning a whole lot of new things on that side of the ball, so guys can just go out there and they can play fast.
Urban said, listen, it is for the last decade at least been a strength of this program, always in the top 5 defensively. And in fact, as recently as 2 years ago, Ohio State led the Big Ten in every defensive categories, nationally 4th in total D, 3rd in rush, 8th in pass, 5th in scoring. And things changed in a big way last year, and a lot of reasons and circumstances to blame for that, not the least of which is and was an unproductive offense. It certainly affects what you do defensively. Fair catch taken at the 24. Does it sound like football season in here?
These fans are getting those pipes loosened up for this fall. Think if they have a crowd like they do today, how it's going to look once the team takes the field in September.
Mike Grable in the middle of that Scarlet offense, that Scarlet huddle with Everett Withers, co-defensive coordinator, safeties, came over from North Carolina. There's Vrabel. Came through Urban's office yesterday. We good, Coach? Yep. Mike, doing great. And the level of intensity you get from a 3-time Super Bowl champ probably goes without saying, but it's matched by the new boss. And that pass is complete. On the route to Taylor Rice. It's, you know, last year Vrabel came on to kind of help out his buddy Luke Fickell. Now it's, and not that it's different from last year in this respect, but now it's all in. Now this is an Urban Meyer team, and Luke Fickell even talked about it. He said, you know, for years, every time I walked through the front door, I knew everything that was going to happen. You knew everybody in the building. There was a sense of familiarity. Deep ball falls incomplete. He said, this year, you never know. You never know. There's always something new, and there's always something challenging, and you have to rise to those occasions.
Yeah, there's a little bit of uncertainty, but I think it's also great for the coaching staff, because it keeps those guys improving. It makes sure that they don't get comfortable, make sure they don't get complacent, that they're always out trying to get themselves better, trying to get their players better. And we talked a lot about Vrabel, him moving to the defensive line, and his position that he played, was such a great player in college and the NFL, is rubbing off really well on this defensive front. They know that the guy that's preaching to them has done it, has been there, and he's done it at a high level.
Let's check in with Lisa.
Tom, Urban Meyer has stressed all spring long that he really wants to connect the student body with his football team again. He had a little fun where he took the football team indoors because of weather, and students and fans surrounded Drew Basil. I mean, these pictures are really kind of great. They were invited to come to watch practice, about 3,000 just standing yards away from Drew Basil. He connected on 4 of 6 attempts, and he kind of joked and said, I don't know if they're yelling for me or against me. I just kind of figured it was for me.
Well, they were cramped quarters because the practice got moved inside. So after it got moved inside, they welcomed everybody in. We saw the same thing yesterday with the Ohio State Coaches Clinic. All these high school coaches from within the state and through the Midwest This was kind of a similar situation at practice yesterday where Urban waved coaches on the field and invited them to be part of each and every drill, as long as you don't get drilled.
I mean, I think about that experience, though, for the students on this campus. I mean, they come into this stadium and they cheer on their team each and every Saturday during the football season, but now you get a head coach that brings the people into them, gets a chance for them to be right on top of the players, and it's the exact same way that he started this spring game today, wanted to show people, let's get in close and let's get this thing competitive.
Scarlett back on offense. Braxton Miller lets it go complete. Another grab for Thomas. Miller starts his day 12 of 16 with a pick, and that's another grab by Thomas.
But again, you're seeing the good technique by Braxton Miller, rolling away from his throwing arm, being able to get his hips and his shoulders towards his target, throwing a very accurate pass. I've been impressed early on outside of the interception.
Tom Herman is the new offensive coordinator. He's the head coach of the Scarlet team. And you mentioned that he used Urban Meyer's tapes, not necessarily to present himself for this job, but in his previous stops, where at Rice they ran a spread offense, had a great tight end in James Casey, and then last year at Iowa State they had the biggest win of the season by handing Oklahoma State its first loss, only loss of this season, with a freshman quarterback. And he said, I picked up those tapes and I learned from it, because that's what you do in college football. So when I had an opportunity to interview for this job, I knew what Urban was doing. I knew what the process was and what his offense looked like.
You know, and a lot of people think that coaches are out there making things up. They're getting creative, and that happens to an extent. But at the end of the day, a lot of times coaches model their program after other successful programs. So they're going to turn on tapes of the Utahs, the Bowling Greens, the Floridas, and they're going to see what's working, and they're going to incorporate that into their offense, and then they'll put their own little personal tweaks, put their own personality on it. You get a chance to see Herman in the middle of your screen there in a red jacket. But that's the way that they're able to make their own offense, make it theirs, but they'll end up taking the principles from another successful system.
And the one principle that really appealed to Tom Herman was the physical nature of the run game out of the shotgun. And he said, listen, what it boils down to many times with any offense is precision. You don't need 1,000 plays. And I think that Woody Hayes' disciples would like this comment and this philosophy. Just pick a couple of things and do them right. And if Woody Hayes wants to run it left, right, and up the middle, and those are the only 3 plays in the playbook, that worked for them. And he's saying out of this offense, we can just do a few things and excel at them. This was my tweet when the basketball team was introduced. Jared Sullinger would make a great tight end. Only 140 characters. I think he'd be a better blocking tight end. He's got great hands. He's not going to beat anybody deep, though.
But I'd like to think he's got a pretty good future staying on the hardwoods. But I see your point. I see your point. He would make an intimidating target at the tight end position.
Tom Dienhart is with us as well. You can find him online and the hashtag #GoBucks to converse about the game via Twitter today. Miller rolls. Lets it go. Deep ball. Wide open. Caught. And inside the 15-yard line is Chris Fields. Didn't Ohio State have one of those to win a game last year?
You know, one of the questions I asked Urban Meyer was, tell me a little bit about Braxton Miller, and he told me he's got a heck of an arm. And a lot of coaches don't like to see this. They don't want to see him throwing that back across his body way down the football field, but it works. They'll say, okay, we'll take it.
And it worked against Wisconsin, did it not?
I think so. I think it did.
Oh, they're going to bring this one back. Well, you could always say it's a spring game for the officials as well.
Fans did not like that call. They wanted the big play to stand.
So 10-0 Scarlet. Tom Hart, Derek Rackley, Lisa Byington, and welcome in the booth. He's been set up here all day. Tom Dienhart, who's been working hard at the keyboard, tapping away on Twitter as well. What's everybody talking about so far today?
Well, they're excited about the offense, particularly in the first quarter, guys. As you know, they came out throwing the football just like Urban Meyer wanted to do. The second quarter, of course, offense is bogged down a little bit, but it's a good sign for the defense.
What is the excitement level that you're getting online about Urban Meyer and your experience with the fans and their expectations?
Yeah, Tom, a lot of excitement. As you would imagine, the resume speaks for itself. He's already raised the bar in the Big Ten, as you all know, bringing the 2 national titles to the conference, and we saw what he did in recruiting in February. We're going to see it on the field manifest itself, I think, in a very competitive program.
And he ruffled a few feathers during recruiting season by recruiting to the 11th hour, as is his custom and what they're used to in the SEC, where they throw the rules out the window in many respects. What do you think lasting? I didn't mean they break the rules, but some of the unspoken rules about how you handle commitments before a guy has signed that upset Wisconsin, Michigan State, among others. What long-term effect do you think that might have in that aggressive style of recruiting?
Well, Tom and Derek, I think he's pushed the envelope, and like you said, he did nothing wrong. I think there was a lot of misinformation out there. Again, he's just, like you said, Tom, pushing recruiting the 11th hour, and you guys talked all first half about competition, winners and losers, and Urban Meyer takes that obviously to the extreme, and that also includes the recruiting game.
2nd and 10 after the incompletion for Devin Smith.
You know, going back to the recruiting, I don't really have as big a problem with it, because Urban Meyer's job as the head coach of this program is to continually go out and bring in the very best talent that he can. That is his job, to put the best football players on the field, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, 11 on special teams. So his job is to go out and get those players, and if he's got the ability to sign one to Ohio State because he feels like they're at the elite level, then he's going to do it.
And he owes that to the Ohio State fans, Derek. You're exactly right. And this February, again, we saw it. In particular, the defensive line. I think the crop of defensive linemen coming in are going to be exceptional. And the guys on the field today, the guys dressed on that line, are already pretty good. And again, that's a defense overall that I think can end up being one of the best in the Big Ten.
It is a very unique situation with Urban Meyer in this program, not eligible for a bowl or a championship this season. He said, it's different. I'm used to competing and playing for championships, whether that's a conference or a national championship. Flag on the play, and the ball was tipped and incomplete. The might pick the flag up unless it was holding. But so we asked, we said, how do you treat this season? You've never been through this before. You can't play for a title, either conference-wise or nationally. And he said, quite frankly,
defense number 51, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Stoneburner got face mask, so they'll mark off 15 yards. He said, well, I've never been through this before, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to a lot of people and do my homework once we get into the offseason, so I can learn how to motivate my team and what the pitfalls may be out there for this program, specifically Southern Cal under Lane Kiffin, and a few years ago Auburn. He said there have been programs that have come through it, and USC obviously succeeded with flying colors in their second season last year. And this one complete for a touchdown for the Scarlet team. Devin Smith with the grab, and he takes it the rest of the way. First score, pardon me, for the Gray team.
Oh, we talked about there being a lot of throwing the football. That's going to happen today. Nice job here by Kenny Guyton with patience, able to pick up his receiver and deliver a strike across the middle of the field. And Devin Smith, he's the guy that's got the speed. One of the guys that's piqued Urban Meyer's interest, saying with a little bit of work, he could be one of those elite players because he's got that ability to take the top end off of the defense.
Yeah, Derek, they really need those wide receivers. You talked about Devin Smith, Forrest Billy Brown, and Michael Thomas, the kid who graduated high school early. He's really looked good at wide out today as well.
Guyton, 6 of 12, 70 yards and a touchdown. Both quarterbacks throwing the ball well, as we expected them to do this afternoon. Scarlet leads the Gray 10-7, 37 seconds left in the second quarter. And the wind is certainly blowing out of the north, so that's an advantage for the quarterbacks going that direction. We've seen both touchdowns go that way.
Overall, I've been impressed by both quarterbacks and what they've been able to do, not just through the passing game, but just leading this new offense. You got to remember that all these guys are learning a brand new offense, completely different than they ran last year, or for the guys that have been around for a couple years for the years past.
And it's not anything terribly new to Urban Meyer in that respect. He said when I took over Bowling Green, they're running pro-style system. When I took over at Utah and introduced the spread there, they were coming out of the I formation. Now, Florida was a little bit different under his predecessor. It went Spurrier to Zook to Urban.
Exactly right, Tom. A little bit different, but that was a team, I think, early on from Meyer and Gainesville was really built around the defenses, dominating units to really help backstop those national championship teams Meyer had down there in Gainesville.
And one of the big personnel changes, as you mentioned earlier, along the offensive line. Reed Fragel, you said, makes a move, Derek, from tight end to offensive tackle. During drills yesterday, he wiped the sweat away at one point. He lifted up his jersey. He's the first offensive lineman I've ever seen with a flat stomach.
Well, that's great, and that's one of the things that Urban Meyer wanted to make a change when he came in, is he felt like the guys on the lines were a little bit out of the shape that he would like to have them in. So he's got his own strength and conditioning coach in here that they've really tried to ramp up that program and get their offense and defensive linemen much more lean and mean, as we like to call it.
Nick Vanett, the tight end, with the grab, and that takes him past midfield. Timeout used here by the Scarlet team, trying to answer the Gray score from a moment ago. Tom Hart, Derek Rackley, Tom Dienhart with you from BTN.com as we get through this first half of action. By the way, we showed the basketball team that went to the Final Four, and I know how the basketball fans love the journey. How about this? And this is the most exciting news that I've heard over the spring. BTN's award-winning original series, The Journey, will launch a football-themed show. That'll give Big Ten football fans an unprecedented look at the student athletes and coaches that make Big Ten football special. If you're already aware of the show, then the music sends the message. If you're not, you've got to watch it. You'll have a chance this summer, I'm sure, to watch the re-airs and then going behind the scenes with the football programs this fall.
I got to ask Derek, have you made that switch from tight end to offensive tackle back in the day?
Oh, I don't know. I made a switch from quarterback to tight end, and that was enough for me. But going inside and playing offensive tackle, guys having to block guys like John Simon, I don't think so.
And Bennett again with his grab inside the 30. Urban Meyer said, I need some wide receivers with a wow factor. I need 10 to 12. We only have 6. So sometimes we'll turn to our tight ends for the wow factor. And they're doing just that in this drive. Miller escapes pressure once again and will chuck from behind the line, caught by Thomas. And that athleticism and great hands results in a Scarlet first down.
You can see that Braxton Miller just continues to end up in the direction of Michael Thomas, but he continues to make plays right here. The play starts to break down. You can see the defense is put in that bind on whether do they come up and make a play on Miller, do they stay back in coverage. He was able to find that little open window right there to hit Thomas.
Urban Meyer staying true to the clock rules here, and they will bring out the field goal team for this 32-yard attempt from Drew Basil, who wasn't scheduled to kick today, but must have gotten thumbs up during pregame warm-ups. Banged a couple of long ones earlier this quarter. And Basil looks good. You know it's down the middle when it bounces off the flagpole. 10 yards behind the goalpost. The offense has got off to a fantastic start, up and down the field, and the star of the first half has been freshman wide receiver Michael Thomas. So they hit the locker room at the half. Thomas 8 catches for 78 yards in the first half, and at the half, Scarlet leads Gray 13-7 from the Horseshoe.
Oh, shave. That's irritating.
Better buy Barbasol.
New Barbasol Sensitive Skin blocks skin irritation. Lets you go for the comfortable close shave of your life.
Close. Who's next?
Love close, hate irritation? Better buy Barbasol.
Buckeye Vision, Game Tracker, apps, plus great video content including more live events. All with a cleaner look and feel. OhioStateBuckeyes.com. Now part of the Big Ten Digital Network.
The road is tough, your spirit's strong, driving one and on. Close shave America, close shave Barbasol. America, you're looking good, handsome, free and tall. Close shave America, close shave Barbasol.
Attention parents and grandparents of young children. Have you received this special notice from Gerber Life? If not, you're urged to call this toll-free number now because Gerber Life is accepting applications for their affordable grow-up plan. It's easy to help your child get off to a good financial start for just pennies a day. Free information will be sent to parents and grandparents who call now. Or you can apply right now over the phone if you'd like. The Grow Up Plan gives your child $10,000 in whole life insurance protection now, then doubles automatically to $20,000 later at no extra cost. Later on, your child can buy more, up to $100,000 in total protection, regardless of their health or job, 10 times the original amount. The Grow Up Plan also builds cash value over time that you can borrow from later. Help give your child a head start for just pennies a day. Don't wait. Call now for free information.
Call 1-800-804-2747. Help give your child the financial head start they deserve. Call now for your free information.
13-7, Scarlet leads Gray, and they take the field for the start of the second half. Urban Meyer down the tunnel once again here at the Horseshoe. We mentioned this before, but there's a lot on the line in this one, as Urban has stressed the competitive spirit that he wants to see in each and every one of his guys. The winners get a bus ride back to the football complex. The losers will walk, and in this weather, that's nothing to sneeze at. And then the losers will also have the opportunity to give back to the community. Next week, they'll be pruning the bushes and laying down some new mulch as they work on the Buckeye Grove just south of the stadium. Luke Fickle said it best. He said, I don't want to win, but there's no way I'm pruning Mike Vrabel's Buckeye tree. Today's attendance announced at 81,112 with some inclement weather here in Columbus. What a tremendous report there on the attendance side of things.
And again, you got a lot of young players, freshmen and redshirt freshmen that have never played in front of a crowd like this. Now, granted, it's a very comfortable crowd. It's the home team crowd. Everybody's just looking for them to go out and play well, but a great experience for these guys to come in to an atmosphere like this and to go out and perform.
And Urban Meyer said, that's what I want to see from my guys, how they react in front of a crowd like this. And he's down on the 25-yard line with our Lisa Byington.
He's been pretty good. My biggest concern is still here that it was in the beginning of the spring, the surrounding cast around him. They've made improvements. The second half we're going to continue. We're doing a little bit unusual. We're throwing the ball almost every down. I want to find out in the arena, do we have a receiver to go up, make some plays?
Real quick, who has stood out for you so far?
Oh, boy. I think the freshman, Michael Thomas, has done a nice job. Briante Dunn's done a nice job, but I got so much going on in my mind right now. The second half's going to be important. I want to find out who can make some plays.
Well, it's going to be a close one. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, we need to keep it close.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Fantastic job. Well, Urban will have a win today. Got to be positive about that, right?
Absolutely. Now, he talked about the fact that they're throwing the football around a lot, and the receivers are going out and making some plays. Michael Thomas doing pretty well so far with 8 catches, 78 yards.
The number that Urban mentioned was we need 10 to 12 scholarship wide receivers. We got 6 now, a couple coming in, and he was happy with the job that Thomas has been doing throughout spring camp and now so far here today. And we said this before, but we should repeat it. He said, listen, jobs will be won in spring. Once we get to fall ball, that's game prep. That's getting ready for Miami of Ohio September 1st. Long pass complete. And that's Briante Dunn out of the backfield to haul it in. I think, and Urban was quick to stress that that's different than maybe some programs look at it, and maybe different than they looked at it here last year. Yes, true freshmen will have a chance to earn their spot come next fall once fall camp starts, but the bottom line is it's go time and it's game time once you get back on the practice field.
And I think the key word that you mentioned was earn. They're going to have to come out and earn a spot. They're going to have to prove to the coaches in a short amount of time that they've got the ability to get on the field. Now, Urban Meyer's only recruiting guys that he feels like has the talent to get on the field and play, but it's how quickly will they pick up the offense or the defense.
Stoneburner's first catch of the day sets up a 2nd and short for Gray. And a handoff from Guyton to Briante Dunn. And Dunn carries it for a 1st down. And Briante Dunn, one of the guys trying to show what he can do as a freshman out of Canton, Ohio and Glen Oak. Jordan Hall, it should be noted, senior from Jeanette, PA, who's high up on the depth chart at running back. He did not dress today. Urban called him out as one of the seniors who has shown that he knows what to do and they know what to expect of him. So a chance to look at some other guys carrying the rock for Gray. 1st and 10. Guyton tapped at the line of scrimmage, and he was smart to knock it down, and it will fall incomplete.
Nice job there by the defensive front, getting their hands up in the passing lanes. I was watching Mike Vrabel yesterday, and one of the drills that he was doing with all the position groups, because they kind of had a little round-robin deal going, defensive line, the linebackers, and the defensive backs all rotated through the different coaches, was exactly that type of drill where they were teaching the guys get their hands up, knock the pass down, but if you can't knock it down, make sure you keep the guy in front of you.
Dunn, the running back, is almost over in a slot. Guyton, 8 of 15 so far, and he finds Briante Dunn to the 35-yard line. And we talk about this spread offense for Urban Meyer and the opportunity for some of these young guys to have an impact. Dunn and Thomas have stood out today. Moore will have the opportunity in the fall. You think this offense is just as easy or tougher to pick up than what's been in place in past years here?
I think it's probably tougher just because not only are they learning new terminology, but a lot of these guys are getting put in positions that they're not used to. The running backs are being stretched out wide, just like Briante Dunn was on that play. They're not used to getting in a wide receiver stance. They're used to getting their 2 feet sitting right next to each other, reading the defense and getting ready to come downhill. But as long as these coaches keep things simple for them, they keep the terminology, the plays that they're going to put in. You talked about it in the first half, Tom. They don't have to put in 45 plays. If they put in 4 or 5 plays and they run motion off of them, they put a tight end in the backfield, you can change the look and run the same play and get guys just running on the same page.
It's not window dressing. That was Philly Brown with the catch over the middle for the Gray team. Guyton has time, and that is Stoneburner who hauls it in at the 15-yard line. 2nd and a couple now for Gray.
Sounds like he heard you there at halftime, Tom. We hadn't seen him much in the first half, but he's come alive early on here in the second half, making a couple of grabs.
Stoneburner had 4 touchdowns the first 2 weeks of last year, and then only 4 catches over the next 7 games total. And he is a load to bring down, 6'5", 245. 2nd and 2. Stoneburner blocking in the reverse. The pitch is dropped and picked back up by Corey Brown, and a flag on the play as he crosses the first down marker. Boy, I don't know about you. I was watching Jake Stoneburner on that play and the run little option, and they have him as for a shuffle pass as well, or a lead blocker.
Well, you can see that they feel comfortable with him in a number of different situations right there, coming across underneath with a little fake shovel pass. But you know, going back to Stoneburner, I got a chance to watch him yesterday. They were running some one-on-one drills, and the tight ends went against the safeties and the linebackers. And I feel like every single time he went out for a pass, there wasn't a defender that was able to cover him.
Offense number 15, 10-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
And again, it just goes back to a guy that runs great routes, has very good hands, and is comfortable out there. Even if there was a defender that was draped all over top of him, he was able to make the grab.
Tom Dienhart tweets, Braxton Miller has looked good, hitting 16 of 22 passes. We want you to take part. You get on Twitter, and you can find Tom at BTN Tom Dienhart. And the officials will get together with a running clock, 5.5 minutes, and now they'll stop it to make sure they are on the same page. So here goes the clock again, and 2nd and long, 2nd and 17 for Ken Guyton. Over the middle, complete, well short of the first down. Taylor Rice with the grab, and a big hit from the secondary. That was Shazier, who was a pleasure to talk to yesterday. He has bulked up, and that guy can stretch a workout shirt, can he?
Get a listen here. Nice little hit by Shazier. You know, talk about a guy that can come downhill. Played really well as a true freshman last year, but he said he probably played about 205 pounds, which is not enough, especially if you're trying to meet fullbacks and running backs in between the tackles. But he said he's up about 17 pounds. He's got that experience from last year, and I expect him to be another one of those really well-rounded linebackers for the Buckeyes.
They work it inside to Philly Brown again. His grab takes it inside the 10 to the 9. We asked offensive coordinator and the head coach of the Scarlet team, Tom Herman, what he thinks about Ken Guyton at quarterback, and he said, well, I can sleep at night knowing that if Braxton Miller breaks a shoelace and misses a play or a couple more plays, that I got a guy in there who knows the offense well. He may not have the upside, and I hate using that term, but he may not be able to make all the plays that Braxton Miller can, but he knows the offense maybe even better than Braxton Miller does.
And I'm telling you, there's something to be said for a backup quarterback that has accepted his role, and he goes out there and competes. And just like Tom said, the fact that he can sleep at night because he's got a quarterback that's very similar athletically to Braxton Miller that can come out there and make plays.
Shazier's added 20 pounds. That helps on plays like that.
Yeah, when you get a Briante Dunn, that's a pretty good size freshman running back at 6'1", about 215 pounds. Shazier, he's fast. He's a guy that can play left and right, up and down, north and south, you name it. He's got the talent to play all over the field.
Injured player on the field is 51, Joel Hale, sophomore from Greenwood, Indiana. And that's the last thing you want to see in the final practice of the spring. And Hale, all 6'4", 295 pounds, gets to his feet. Injury stoppage, 4:02 to go, but otherwise it will be a running clock. Well, it's not just the offensive linemen who are wearing knee braces today and throughout practice, and it's a very interesting sight with all the quarterbacks wearing knee braces. And don't fear, it's not that Braxton Miller suffered a knee injury or Ken Guyton or anyone else who's wearing a low number and throws the football.
That was one of the first things that I went up and asked some of the Ohio State staff was the left knee braces on all the quarterbacks. You can see Braxton Miller's got one on, Kenny Guyton has one on as well. And he said, no, this was a coaching decision that they wanted their quarterbacks to have the left knee with a brace on, meaning the most vulnerable knee for them when they're stepping into their throws. A lot of times you can get defensive linemen, offensive linemen thrown into their legs. They wanted that extra stability. I think it was a good move. Doesn't seem like it slowed any of them down, but you're going to notice all the quarterbacks have those braces on their left knees, but there's no injuries.
It's all preventative. They're going to blow the whistle, and Braxton Miller says, hey, you can't blow the whistle on me in that situation. You got to let me play.
Coach, I got the ability to get out of that mess. That's what I bring to the offense. You can see that quick move. He puts that right foot in the ground, and Coach Meyer said, no, he would have had you down on the ground.
So 3rd down and 11, despite the fact that Miller is working primarily with the starters on the line. They've gotten some pressure on him today. Tim Trummer is in at center, I believe, and Miller pressured once again, and another whistle before he gets taken down. Garrett Goebel was one of those from the Scarlet team, was able to get pressure on him. 4th and long. How do you evaluate pressure from the offensive line in a spring game?
Well, I think for the most part, especially with them throwing the football so much, they're going to have a lot of game tape to look at, because all this is guys, we're working our pass protection, and either you're working with the right technique or not, and either you're communicating the calls across the offensive line or not. So this is great work for the offensive line to get some really good reps against the pass rush.
And it's a punt off the side of the foot. And it looks like they do have some second-string guys in there, including Eric Kramer, who was working at center. Ben Buchanan would love another opportunity to punt after that one. And Scarlet team will end up with fantastic field position. Little Shankopotamus. And that is why they call it practice.
Hey, and Ben Buchanan is happy that that happened in the spring game and it didn't happen in the game in the opener this year. He's able to get that one out of his system, but nonetheless, Coach Meyer's not going to like one of those coming off the side of the foot.
I know you're a golfer. If that can happen a couple of weeks ago in Augusta, like it did, it can happen to a college kid.
Hey, absolutely. I love watching professional golf and those guys shank shots like that, because it's like, you know what? I can do that. I don't have to play on PGA Tour, but I can do that.
Guyton back to work. He's now 13 of 19 for 125 yards and a nice start to the day for Guyton. Now, a quick day. It's minute 25 to go in the third quarter.
Nice start to the day and a nice start for this drive. He was able to get great field position with that bad punt, so you'd like to see if he can take advantage, get inside of the red zone, and be able to put his team into the end zone.
Kareem Stevens, a fifth-year senior on the defensive line for Ohio State, so we're seeing some reserves on both sides get rotated in. Guyton over the middle, complete inside the 10-yard line. Another grab for Philly Brown, who's been key for the Gray team here in the second half.
Watch the right side of your screen. Kenny Guyton with the patience to watch Philly Brown just curl right around the linebacker. I like to see that right there, especially look breathing down Shazier right there. He allows Philly Brown to curl around the corner and then delivers him a strike. A lot of quarterbacks would say, oh, he's not open, there's a guy in the way. He just had patience and he waited out.
The freshman Briante Dunn carries it inside the 5. 28 seconds remaining in the in the third quarter. And Gray will try to get off at least one more, if not a couple more plays here. Second and goal. And quarterback keep, touchdown Guyton. That's a heck of a play to draw up. If you're on the other coaching sideline, you know quarterbacks can't get tackled, and everybody's going to go to the running back on the zone read.
Well, he completely fooled Michael Bennett. 63 comes in. He goes right after the ball carrier. Nice read there by Kenny Guyton. That's what he's charged to do, is read the defense. He crashed down, pulled it out, and went into the end zone.
Well, what's Bennett going to do? He's not going to go to Guyton.
But
He'll get yelled at for hitting the quarterback.
But he wasn't playing in between. He wasn't slow playing, is what we call it. He went right after the running back. It was a good read. Come on now, Tom.
He gambled and he lost. There's no doubt about that. And the extra point is good. And who will prune the Buckeye trees? Gray leads Scarlet by 1 now. And that will end the third quarter with the running clock. Don't forget, the guys are back in studio as well. Big Ten tonight, spring football report tonight at 7 Eastern. DiNardo's been all over the place. We'll have full report. And we've got a fourth quarter still to play here in Columbus. Back in a moment.
The road is tough, your spirit's strong, from driving one and on. Close shave America, close shave Barbasol. America, you're looking good, handsome, free and tall. Close shave America, close shave Barbasol, close shave Barbasol.
Tuesday, the Big Ten Football Report keeps you up to date on all the offseason news, brings you the latest buzz on the draft, and gives you the first look at what lies ahead in 2012. The Big Ten Football Report, Tuesday at 7 Eastern on BTN.
America, you're looking good, handsome, free and tall. Close shave America, close shave Barbasol, close shave Barbasol.
Hi, we're looking to save some money on our car insurance.
Great! At Progressive, you can compare rates side by side so you get the same coverage, often for less.
Wow, that is huge.
And this is to remind you that you could save hundreds.
Yeah, that'll certainly stick with me.
We'll take it.
Go, big money! I mean, go, it's your break, honey.
Same coverage, more savings. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
There are machines that can do things for us. Machines that can see right through us. And machines that want to replace us. But they are not us. There is one machine so instinctive, so seductive, is as alive as we are. It doesn't click or buzz. It roars. Jaguar.
Fourth quarter starting. Let's go to Lisa with offensive coordinator Tom Herman.
Wait, now what do we expect here from you guys?
Well, the same thing. We've got to be able to protect. We got to throw and catch the football, and we got to throw on time and get our eyes in the right place. And then we got to mix in some runs. But with the running clock, we got to push the ball down the field and go score.
What can we expect from Braxton here?
Well, hopefully he's got some pocket presence. We get to, we've got some backup old linemen, some down the line guys. We got to protect our butts off and really do a good job of standing in there and playing.
Tell me one thing that you've seen from him here today that you were able to teach him here in the spring.
Really just throwing with your eyes and having your eyes in the right place.
All right, they're calling for you.
They got a game on the line, Lisa, and we took away their head coach. Offensive coordinator Tom Herman jumps into the huddle. They'll give him a little bit of a time here to get a couple play calls in.
They're saying, hey, we need a play.
I thought Lisa was going to go out there and call a play. Urban Meyer actually talked about that. He said, you know how uncomfortable I was in the booth? He said, Lisa, when they stuck me in the booth, I probably felt the same way if they would have let you call plays. 1st and 10. And straight up the middle, Rod Smith with some carries here in the fourth quarter, and he takes it straight ahead for nearly 5 yards. Scarlet team trying to regain the lead. Tom Herman mentioned we want to run the ball, but we've got a running clock, so we have to be wary of that. Our scorebug shows 3 timeouts remaining for each team, but you never know in a game like this how many they'll get. And that one is complete, but maybe for a yard to Tyrone Williams. He's a redshirt sophomore out of East Cleveland, Ohio, out of Shaw High School. Tom Herman has made quite a leap. He went from Rice University to Iowa State, where Paul Rhodes has done a miraculous job, and now from the Cyclones to the Buckeyes, and he feels quite fortunate to make that jump.
Here's a look at Braxton Miller. You can see a little change in their cadence. He's going to clap his hands right there, and at that point, the center is on his own time to snap the football. That's a change from last year. You're going to see both the quarterbacks, when they get in the shotgun, they're going to survey the offense, look over on the other side of the defense, and then he's just going to clap his hands. And once he claps his hands, that's 2 things. That's a sign that the running backs can start to go in motion, and that's another sign that says the center can go ahead and snap it whenever he's ready.
Miller missing a wide receiver. In timeout, or at least, if not officially, Urban Meyer able to stop the play. Tom Herman gets a play called in from the sideline. And now they'll have to burn a timeout.
30 seconds in length.
And they'll have 2 remaining, trailing by 1 with 8:20 to go. Very interesting that Tom Herman and Urban Meyer didn't have much of a background together.
Yeah, that was surprising. You know, the college and even the NFL coaching system is really based off of a buddy system. It's who you know, or do you have a connection with another coach that you work with? But I asked that same question to Coach Meyer yesterday. He said, no, I never really met him, but I knew about his work. I knew he was running the style of offense that I wanted to run. And once he came in here and we interviewed, I realized how bright he was, how on top of everything he was, and all of the philosophies that he talked about for offense was exactly what I wanted to run. So it sounded like it ended up being a no-brainer decision for him.
He also pointed out, he said, listen, most of the guys that I've worked with and coordinators and assistant coaches, they're head coaches now. Because I don't think I could have talked Dan Mullen into coming to Ohio State to be a coordinator. First and 10. He was also quick to point out that he wanted to make sure he got someone who would run his offense. He said there are plenty of guys who are interested in coming here and running their offense. And of course that was certainly part of the discussion when he was hired. Miller pressured again.
Yeah, and you can just see Miller overpowers the offensive tackle right there, Darrell Baldwin. Nice job right there with the pad level. Another promising young player, sophomore, and Steve Miller, that they're looking to see if he can work his way into that defensive line rotation.
Steve Miller out of Canton McKinley. Rod Smith changes direction. Nice move, and he gets across midfield and down to the 46-yard line. Clock running, 7:28 to go, 1-point game, 2 timeouts for the Scarlet team.
Got a new center in there, Tim Trummer, Corey Lindsley's been the primary center there for Braxton Miller, and Urban Meyer's been praising him the entire spring for the accurate shotgun snaps, and that's one of the big jobs that a center has, especially in this type of offense, is yes, you got to go block, but first you got to deliver a strike of a shotgun snap back to the quarterback.
It's one of the key positions that they have to replace up front, with Brewster having moved on. Miller over the middle, intercepted off the hands of the wide receiver, and it's taken away by Tyvis Powell. Michael Thomas was the intended receiver, and from one freshman to another, Powell rips it away, much to the delight of Kerry Combs.
Defense number 72.
Oh, take it away.
15-yard penalty. Automatic first down for the Scarlet team.
Instead of an interception, it's hands to the face, and it goes right back to the Scarlet team.
Now, trust me, when the coaches put this film on, they're still going to get on Michael Thomas for dropping this football. He goes up and he almost makes a great play. The ball's a little bit out of his hands, but that's a play that he can make. But the Scarlet team survives the scare, and they're able to get the ball back. You can see right there, number 72, Carter, with the hands to the face. You can see the offensive lineman's helmet going back. Easy call there for the officials.
So the drive continues. And a gain of 1.5 yards perhaps for Christian Bryant, or pardon me, for Rod Smith. Out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, redshirt sophomore. Carter with some size up front for the gray team. Remember, John Simon's on the gray team. I don't think he played a snap today, and that was part of the plan. Miller throws on the run, completes, and inside the 10, and Thomas spins his way down, and he'll be finally stopped at this 7-yard line for the freshman Thomas.
Yeah, nice play for him to erase that memory of the tip pass on the couple of plays ago. But again, seeing him not only make a catch, but a nice run after the catch. He's been impressive throughout the entire afternoon. When the ball comes in his direction, outside of just a couple of plays ago, it seems like he's caught almost every ball that's come to him.
And first down now, Smith straight ahead, moving the pile. No sign. Now he's in. Touchdown, Scarlet. Rod Smith finds the end zone. Another scoring change, another lead change here this afternoon.
Well, Rod Smith's body type may not be the same type of person in this spread style of offense, but at 6'2", 225, 230 pounds, you get down into the scoring territory, you got to find a way to give him the ball, because he's going to be able to carry some defenders along with him.
There is no instant replay today, by the way.
So it sounds like you're insinuating there might have been a knee down before the touchdown.
I was kind of thinking to myself, thank goodness we don't have to sit and wait. With all due respect to the fine replay officials throughout the Big Ten Conference. But I thought he was in. I didn't think the knee was down anyway. Knee's still up.
Right there, looks like it's down. Tough to see where the ball is.
The ball's kind of tucked right about his waist. So as we say on Fall Saturdays, perhaps not enough to overturn.
It's not that indisputable video evidence.
There you go. That is a requirement. Every video replay, that phrase must be uttered. Thomas, 10 catches, 106 yards. Miller, 20 of 26, 217 and a pick. And was a penalty away from a second pick that would have killed that drive and given gray team chance to run out the clock. Now a big completion from Guyton to Brown, and quickly into Scarlet territory. All the way down to the 44 on one strike from Guyton to Philly Brown.
You know, Guyton's a guy that hasn't seen a whole lot of game action, but he's been around this program for a while. So you're seeing him start to pick and choose some of the things that he's learned over the years. The ability to keep himself alive, find the receiver down the field, and get on the other side of the 50-yard line.
And Briante Dunn carries it straight ahead. Inside the 40. Second down, clock running, 4:39. Gray has 3 timeouts remaining.
Probably see a little bit more up-tempo style of offense here for the Gray. Again, we talked about there's always something on the line in this situation for Urban Meyer, so these guys want to put the ball into the end zone and regain the lead.
Empty backfield. Guyton got his hand knocked as he threw, and it falls incomplete. Third down. 4:03 to go and count. It was Michael Bennett who got in there and brought a little bit of pressure. Chase Ferris is also up front for the Scarlet defensive line. 3rd and 5. Over the middle, caught. Billy Brown again. First down, Gray, down to the 16, and this one's coming down to the wire with 3.5 to go.
Hey, I like what I'm seeing. Kenny Guyton starting to feel it again. Stays in the pocket with some pressure coming around him, steps up and delivers a strike right down the middle of the field in between coverage. Again, that's impressive for Tom Herman to know that his potential backup is sitting really comfortable in the pocket right now.
Billy Brown, 7 grabs, 90 yards, back to action and out of the shotgun. Guyton over the middle. Intercepted! Intercepted inside the 5, and the Scarlet team takes it away. Christian Bryant, the junior from Cleveland.
I think Kenny Guyton got a little bit too locked in on his wide receiver right there. And Christian Bryant just read his eyes. You can see him. He picks him up, and he just never sees Christian Bryant. Christian Bryant knew where that ball was going all the way. Nice job breaking on it, and a big play right there for the Scarlet defense. See right there, Christian Bryant was reading Guyton's eyes the entire time. You heard Tom Herman mention to Lisa Byington about using your eyes as a quarterback to manipulate the defense. He never really did there. Christian Bryant was sitting right in the middle playing center field. Excellent break on the football.
Bryant didn't have a pick all of last season. And now Braxton Miller will try to run out the clock with timeouts remaining for both sides. Under 3 minutes to go. Urban Meyer told us yesterday that the coaches will get together. They will review the film. They will check out how everyone grades out. And you see Michael Thomas will grade out very well. 10 grabs over 100 yards. Braxton Miller, 20 completions, half of those to Thomas. And then early this week, they'll put out a 2-deep that will carry the course of the season. One shortcoming that Urban Meyer pointed out about Braxton Miller regarded his leadership in the offseason. What does he expect from a quarterback?
Well, you got to be the leader of the offense, and not only the offense, but a lot of times the team. And it doesn't matter what year you are in school, because at the quarterback position, you just have to be a leader. Sometimes it's a lot more by example than it is vocally. But he said that he didn't quite see it in Braxton Miller's face and in his eyes in the offseason program. He didn't quite see him step up to the table competitively. But once they got onto the football field this spring, that's when he saw it from him. And now he said it's just my job as the head coach to harness that and able for him to show that 365 days a year.
Oh, and in off-season workouts where that is so very important. And you mentioned earlier that Urban Meyer brought in his own strength coach, brought in a new guy to handle that workout system. But a lot of times the strength coach is the guy who can work one-on-one. And Mickey Marotti is a guy that can see that leadership develop over the course of off-season workouts.
Yeah, he's already seen it in guys like John Simon and guys like Zach Boren, but he's looking for other guys to step up into that leadership role. You saw Jack Muhort go out on the field early on in the ballgame. Maybe he's one of those guys at the left tackle position. But at the end of the day, you really hope as a head coach that your quarterback emerges to be one of those guys, because he's the one person that the football is in his hands every single down when they're on offense.
So 1st and 10 after the timeout, 2:01 to go, 2 timeouts remaining each side. And a 4-yard gain by Rod Smith.
Good look at John Simon right there. As Urban mentioned, he wasn't going to play a whole lot today. He knows what he's going to get out of John Simon, the guy that is in the weight room all the time. He's in the meeting rooms all the time. He's been productive throughout his career. You can see he was a 3rd-team All-American by the Associated Press last year. I expect him to have a really good season. And you talk about how does he project at the next level. He may not have the size of a lot of defensive linemen, but people are going to put on the tape and they're going to see a guy that constantly is in the backfield, constantly making plays. He will likely have a future beyond his days here in Columbus.
You know, a couple years ago in the Big Ten, the strength on defensive fronts was at the end position. And then last year, some of those guys, maybe after Kerrigan had left, the strength seemed to be more interior across the board.
Guys like Devin Still and Jarrell Worthy, correct?
And now that maybe we'll see more of that with John Simon, who kind of swings back and forth just based on where the talent lies. Under 2 minutes ago, Tom Hart, Derek Rackley, Lisa Byington, and Tom Dienhart with us as well as Miller rolls out and lets one go complete short of the first down. Tom, what else are you seeing online today?
Well, I tell you what, the passing again in the first half was impressive, and I think in this half, guys, the defense, we saw some big interceptions here, and I think that bodes well for Ohio State secondary. Tom and Derek, I think that could be one of the better ones in the conference. Bradley Roby was a sensational redshirt freshman cornerback last year. I think he has a chance to be the special player back there.
Yeah, Travis Howard on the other side is a little bit more lanky. He's kind of that taller, skinnier, but he's got a lot of moxie out there. I really like their secondary. C.J. Barnett's a guy that got banged up a little bit. He's not playing today, but they really like what he brought to the table this spring. Defensive line, we know what they've got in John Simon, Jonathan Hankins. We got a chance to see some guys like Michael Bennett play really well today. But at the linebacker position, I think they need to develop a little bit of depth right there. Storm Klein did not participate in much of the spring drills this year. He could factor into that mix as well, but they've got to find a good, solid two-deep at the linebacker position.
He mentioned, Urban did, that they're missing a wow factor on offense. Do you think in that regard they're missing a wow guy in linebacker?
I think so. I think Shazier is the guy that could be the wow person there. But I just don't know if they've seen enough, and at the end of the day, you got to see what he does against teams in other jerseys.
All-out blitz, beat by finding Thomas. Sabino came up the middle to try and get the sack. He wanted a whistle, didn't get it. He thought he was held. And now Gray out of timeouts, throwing all the spaghetti against the wall they can.
Tom, what do you think? You think this Michael Thomas is ready for college football in the Big Ten?
Yeah, Dick, I was going to say that. He reminds me of Michael Jenkins.
Absolutely.
The way he moves and the way he runs. And, Tom was talking about wow factor, guys. We heard Urban Meyer use that term for all spring. And I tell you what, I don't think it's premature to stamp the wow factor on that young freshman at this point.
Miller rolling the pocket again, dumps it to his tight end, and this will go for a first down. The timing for Thomas couldn't be better, coming into a wide receiver core that failed to impress last year. And many times maybe didn't have a quarterback that could get them the ball in a great situation, but the opportunity to earn the time and the opportunity to kind of find where you fit in, and it's easy to see that he could be out there on September 1st, the starting unit.
Wow, it's a great spring for him to come in because they put such an emphasis on the passing game, because Tom Urban Meyer, they realized that in order for this offense to be successful, they've got to have that effective balance between run and pass. They felt good about the running game with Carlos Hyde, Jordan Hall, Rod Smith, Briante Dunn coming in, but they wanted to see, can we be effective in the passing game? So let's throw it around a little bit. Michael Thomas is a guy that has definitely benefited from that change this spring.
Miller lets one go off the back shoulder and a flag down. Roby guarding Thomas that time. Miller falling away, and pass interference likely coming.
Pass interference, defense number 25, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, just a little bit too much contact going on right there with Bradley Roby. Does not get his head back around to play the football, and a lot of times when you get an underthrown ball, that's the opportunity where if a wide receiver can turn around and make a play, he can create that pass interference call, and you're seeing so much development early on for the freshman in Michael Thomas.
Now, Derek, here in this situation, do you think this is where the spread offense maybe has some limitations when you get in toward the goal line, the 10-yard line here?
Maybe a little bit if you're not a proficient passing team, because you're spreading everybody out, and if you don't have a guy like Tim Tebow, the pass is incomplete. If you don't have a guy like Tim Tebow, then you're a little bit more reliant on the passing game. They don't have that person here, but with Florida, anytime they got inside the 5 or the 10, they felt like they could get it in with Tebow.
And we do not know, and I did not see yesterday Braxton Miller perfecting his jump pass. That may soon come. We should note, though, that Braxton Miller is looking forward to running the football. We're not going to see it here today, but this offense will look 1,000 times different once you mix in the zone read with the quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we haven't got a chance to see that type of balance today. The defense is kind of sitting a little bit more on their heels because so much pass is being thrown to them. There's a lot of different things that end up coming into this offense when you can do zone read, you can do design quarterback runs. But Michael Thomas has been a really effective receiver today, and Braxton Miller seems to continue to go his direction, not only in the first half but in the second half as well. But one of the most elementary things that I've been impressed by is that he's catching the football. He's not fazed by the moment whatsoever. He's made some adjustments. In my opinion, if the coaching staff hasn't already done it, he's earned himself maybe not a starting position, but he is in that rotation come this fall.
12 catches, 131 yards today for Michael Thomas. 6'2", 193. Miller rolls, throws a bullet, complete. Cut down at the line of scrimmage. Nick Vanette with another grab. He has shown good hands at the tight end position today.
Yeah, Urban had mentioned to us yesterday when we were talking to him that he felt like the tight end position was probably his strongest as far as catching passes. We know about Jake Stoneburner, but Nick Vanette and also Jeff Hireman is another guy, so they feel like they've got three really good tight ends, especially in the passing game, that they can make plays.
Miller, pressure, waves off Sabino, goes to the flag, and dives in. No, they're going to say he stepped out at the 4-yard line. When I asked Braxton Miller about running game plays, he said, I've got a few. And he leads Scarlet to the win, 20-14.
Boy, I think it's just the inside sole of that left foot was on the white. Can't question the referee who's standing right there. But Urban Meyer calls it, and that's the game.
Braxton Miller leads Ohio State's Scarlet team to win here today. We'll be back to wrap things up from the Horseshoe right after this.
Oh, shave. That's irritating.
Better buy Barbasol.
New Barbasol Sensitive Skin blocks skin irritation. Lets you go for the comfortable close shave of your life.
Close. Who's next?
Love close, hate irritation? Better buy Barbasol.
Buckeye Vision, Game Tracker, apps, plus great video content including more live events. All with a cleaner look and feel. OhioStateBuckeyes.com. Now part of the Big Ten Digital Network. We cover all the bases on the Big Ten Diamond Report. The most in-depth baseball and softball highlights, plus the latest news and notes on the entire conference. The Big Ten Diamond Report. Tomorrow only on BTN.
BTN Spring Football is presented by Barbasol. Start your day cool with new Arctic Chill Shaving Cream from Barbasol. Better buy Barbasol. Urban Meyer, front and center, Carmen, Ohio. Here in the south end zone of the Horseshoe. And you can sing Scarlet's praise today. They're the winners, 20-14. In the first Scarlet and Gray game under two-time national champion Urban Meyer. Tom Hart, Derek Rackley, Lisa Byington, Tom Dienhart, and overall, Derek, a success today for Urban Meyer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they got exactly out of it that they wanted. As far as offensively, they threw a lot of passes. They had a lot of completions. I don't want to take anything away from the defense. I think they had less questions on that side of the ball. I think you've seen some guys like a Michael Bennett make a lot of plays, showed that he's worthy to be in that rotation. But offensively, guys like Michael Thomas, Briante Dunn, the freshman came out and played really well this afternoon.
And so Scarlet team will get a bus ride back to the Woody Hayes building. The Gray will be hoofing it. And Lisa Byington's been hoofing it on the sideline throughout the day today. She is standing by now with the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Lisa is with Urban Meyer.
I think you're all set now, right? How positive of a day is this for you?
A great day. first half got a little sloppy. We tried to throw the ball. I think we know we can run the ball. I have to find out if we can throw the ball. And no better place to do it in the spring game in front of a big crowd.
You said that before the spring season started, I can't wait to open my Christmas present and see what kind of players I have. So what kind of players do you have?
It's a good Christmas present. It's a good, great by the time we start.
Yeah. Thank you for the time.
I apologize for some of the technical difficulties under the poor weather here today, but sunshine is certainly in the forecast for the folks of Buckeye Nation and after the performance here today. Well, that'll do it from Ohio State. The final score, Scarlet gets the bus ride 20-14 over the Walking Gray team. For Derek Rackley, Lisa Byington, Tom Dienhart, I'm Tom Hart. Now let's take you to University Showcase, the Ohio State Spring Edition. Highlights abound. And so long from